Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are joined with Dr. Hala Chaaban. Hala, how are you today?
I'm doing good.
You're the Associate Professor of Pediatrics, and you're the Director of Clinical and Translational Research section on neonatal perinatal medicine. You're an Adjunct Associate Professor of Nutritional Sciences at the University of Oklahoma Health Sciences Center at OU Health. Daphna has been telling me, I gotta make sure that I plug the Twitter handle of our, so you are on Twitter at Chaaban with Chaaban MD.
Correct.
So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You are talking about breaking down the mechanisms of NEC, which is probably one of my favorite topics because I still couldn't believe as a fellow when you read the textbooks that one of the first few lines of necrotizing enterocolitis says the mechanism of NEC is still not understood.
Yeah.
And you're like, seriously?
Yes, every single paper we start with pathogenesis of necrotizing enterocolitis is currently unknown or unclear. Yes, you are correct.
So you've solved it.
Oh God, no. Let me tell you, I was so glad that I started my talk before David Hackham and Stephen McElroy because those two are definitely solving it.
So, but tell us a little bit about, we're doing this podcast for the people who, because of clinical duties, families and other reasons really don't have the benefit or the privilege of being here. And so for the people who are not here at the conference and who are wondering what exactly were you presenting, can you give us maybe some of the takeaway points and some of the highlights of your talk?
Right. So I'm going to talk also a little bit about why we're doing what we're doing.
Please.
And you're absolutely right. The reason why I started studying NEC is because of a baby who passed away when I was a resident.
We've had lots of people tell us that these last few days.
Yeah.
They just stick with you.
And it's a guilt, right? It's like you go home, you come back, and you're like, did I miss anything? Did the baby show me some signs that I wasn't necessarily paying attention to? So what we're trying to do right now is NEC, fortunately, doesn't happen immediately after birth. NEC happens at 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It is the most common cause of death between 2 weeks and 2 months. So that gives us this window of opportunity or critical period of time that perhaps we can intervene, try to understand what are the factors that make some babies more protected against NEC compared to others. So part of what we're doing is really trying to help enhance nutrition in a way that, are there some factors that can potentially help prevent NEC a little bit more, than others? So that basically is a short version of what we're interested in.
Is this clinical or animal data or both?
Right. Right now we're doing mainly animal work. However, part of what we're doing in parallel is the clinical component, which is what are the reasons that certain mother's milk doesn't have hyaluronic acid as much as others? Are there some, genetic variability? Is there certain morbidities? So we're collecting all this information right now and trying to figure out, is there any infant factors also that plays a role? So we're doing things in parallel in animal models as well as in human milk.
I love that because it's an interesting way to study a disease, right? Instead of focusing entirely on the babies who are getting NEC, but what about the babies that don't get NEC, and what's different about them that is protective?
Right. And I think part of what we need to understand is that, yes, we do have incredible progress with donor milk. And I think we're so fortunate in Oklahoma to have the human milk donor bank. But we also need to understand that there are a lot of factors early on in the first critical window, which is the 2 weeks after birth, that donor milk doesn't have. So this is what we're trying to understand is, yes, human milk and donor milk really is important, but this donor milk is mature milk. It's generally speaking something that's pumped months later. Can we optimize this a little bit more? And is that why certain babies don't develop NEC, not just, the other factors, the nutritional component that also could be protective?
And so you're saying, let's attack this not from, the beginning clinical signs, but what can we lay down in those first few weeks of life to keep it from developing?
Right. And this is, again, no one wants to see neck ever.
Right.
But if you actually hear the parents talking, they say, we thought we were out of the woods.
Right.
Everything was going well. We were starting to think about going home, and it just happened. So it's such a devastating thing when the initial delivery course and how stressful it is has gone down, and it just comes back. Pretty significant. So we take it as we have a window of opportunity during that time. If we can understand a little bit more how we can prevent this, perhaps we're going to make it.
It's so interesting what you're bringing up, especially the work you're doing, trying to understand the various components of breast milk and so on. And I feel like when a baby is admitted to the NICU, right, we measure them, we weigh them, we take all this information, we write it down. And I am wondering if, in your opinion, we'll do the same with the parents' milk, where we'll take their milk, we'll run it through a battery of tests, and we'll have all this information about what is the composition, more of this, less of that. And then based on that information, we'll be able to make clinical decision right at the time of close to admission, I guess.
Right. And I wish we can get there ever. But I do think that there might be, let me just go back a little bit, is that chronologically we should be giving milk at the same stage. So when we are in the NICU, we get the fresh milk, which we understand it's very rich in these bioactive components that don't go into degradation from the whole freeze thaw. But perhaps we should be giving mom's milk that's supposed to be at a certain week. So because this is the weeks that would have a little bit more bioactive components. So not just one-time measurement, but actually throughout the first week of lactation, these active components start going down, and we tend to give the most recent milk sample. I think we just need to go back and give it as nature would have provided.
And also maybe be a bit more demanding of the parents, because I do this all the time. So like if a parent says, I'm going to try to pump, and I say, whenever, take your time whenever it comes. Anyway, we have donor milk that we can use in the meantime. When in truth, we should maybe trying to get as much as possible. Obviously, if it's not there, it's not there. But trying as much as possible to get chronologically appropriate milk.
Well, I think it's not about pressuring the family, but giving them the knowledge, and the information to then make the decision if they're able to. Saying, well, I'd like to do that, instead of, I think we very commonly offer donor milk as equivalent to fresh milk.
And I think you're absolutely right about the whole pressure part. I think we need to understand also what are the barriers that are there for certain moms not to be able to provide milk. And I think we need to be able to support the moms as much as we can. But also part of the whole supporting moms is this is the best thing we can have. Like, this is something we cannot get anywhere else.
Right.
Donor milk is great, but what mom is providing is something that we would never be able to purchase, to be honest with you. So amazing, liquid gold.
That's
what we call it.
That's right. Celebrating the milk.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yep. Whatever drops, whatever she brings, we're like, this is great. Baby's gonna love it.
Yeah. It's serendipitous that we get to speak to you at the next symposium, because we've wanted to speak to you on the podcast, and I've always been interested in wanting to ask you this question because you are not from Oklahoma.
I am not from Oklahoma.
And so I'm wondering if you could share a little bit of your path, and because I think this is always very inspiring for any immigrant like me to chat with you.
Yeah, so I'm from Lebanon. And I did my residency, my medical school residency and fellowship in Lebanon. And then I really, really liked research. And the baby who passed away was from Lebanon, who was a neck. And my mentor over there said, no one knows why neck happens. So what does that mean? So I came to the United States because I wanted to do a little bit more meaningful research in the lab. And I just couldn't go back because it's not I couldn't open a lab.
Where in Lebanon were you?
In the American University of Beirut.
In Beirut. Yeah. And that's a stark contrast from Oklahoma.
Yeah. The people love to party in Lebanon. They really are very passionate.
The Paris of the Middle East, they called it, huh?
It used to be,
Yeah.
So the reason why we came to Oklahoma is the people are amazing and they're very, very nice. I have a wonderful group of people
Right.
I work with. It's been a blessing.
That's awesome. I'm very happy. I think this came up one day. You posted on Twitter a picture of your coffee, and I was like, "This is not American coffee."
Yeah.
There's something along those lines. That's what I recall.
So where are you from?
I'm from Marseille in France.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So the Chaban is actually
Chaban,
French.
yeah.
Yep.
I would almost say Chaban, but anyway.
Oh.
I would withhold.
Yeah.
I love that part of your story, and I think that's so true for so many clinician scientists who said the answer, like, we don't know, is not good enough.
Yeah.
And you go and you do the work, even knowing that after decades of work, we're still not much farther than we have been, but it sounds like there's some really exciting work that we are looking forward to reviewing in the next, let's say, 5 to 8 years.
No, you're applying pressure right there.
That's right.
Yeah.
To see what's coming next.
Yeah. Well, I hope that every single one of us here from the next symposium get to play a very even small role in trying to make a difference. So.
What are your thoughts on the fact that a baby passing away is what drove you to pursue research in neck, and you're coming to a meeting where individual stories are what is almost fueling the entire meeting?
It was, to be honest with you, I don't think I learned more from the scientific component in this meeting than from what I heard from the parents. I feel like we all are very proud of what we do medically at the bedside, and we all kind of, again, very proud, but I don't know if we're doing it right.
Yeah.
One thing that was extremely eye-opening to me, and I said it to one of the moms who shared her story, is we tend to focus on the positive sometimes because we think that we need to give them hope.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, it's like lying.
Mm.
Like a lot of the common theme was the doctors didn't believe me or didn't tell me. And I feel that part we need to hear a little bit more. The fact that they want to hear the truth is really what resonated with me, is that our job is to basically let them know what is happening.
Yeah.
And, it just that
That's
resonated with me.
something that resonated with me as well, where it's a little bit like they want to know what's going on.
Right.
And it's almost like by not being upfront with them, you're like the tour guide who doesn't tell the group we're lost.
Yeah.
It's like we've been going in circles and you're telling me I know where I'm going. And I think knowing that the parents are open about this and they say we are going to go through this with you, clinical team.
Yeah.
Just be upfront with us. I think that's very enlightening.
And I think on the same token, that parents want to know what we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And when we say, we have, your baby has this, there's some things we know about it, there's some things we don't know. It sounds like they want to know.
Yeah.
You're here presenting at the next symposium, but not only are you here as a presenter, you are actually part of the NEC Society's Scientific Advisory Council. So just tell us a little bit more about your involvement with the group.
It's intimidating, let me tell you. It's really
That's how we felt all week so far.
So they're an amazing group of physicians and scientists. I think Jen and the two Erins have done a phenomenal job leading a lot of the conversations. They're very inclusive. Every single member of the scientific advisory team is extremely inclusive, very open to everything.
It's a friendly bunch, certainly.
Extremely friendly, extremely friendly, very, very bright. And each one of them actually brings in a good aspect from NEC or patient perspective or advocacy, neurodevelopment, literally every single thing you can think. There is a group of surgeons, neonatologists, epidemiology.
Yeah, it's almost like a sports team, everyone has their position.
That's
right. And we meet monthly on Fridays, and
that's a real commitment.
It's been amazing though, the amount of work that is put through the whole month. It's just amazing. Jen and Erin are doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Hala, thank you so much for dropping by.
Thank you so
We'll
much.
see you around
for
at the
having
conference.
me.
Well, that